Okay, so could you show me your passport and let me know your full name, please?
Sure, sir. Here's my passport. My full name is Jasmine Joy Marie San Miguel, but you can call me Jasmine for short.
Thank you, Jasmine. Now we'll start. Could you tell me, how do you celebrate New Year?
Usually, since I am away with my family, usually I spend New Year's alone. Last year, I just had a friend over and we just decided to go down, walk 5 minutes away from my home where the beach side is, and watch the fireworks. After that, we just shared a good meal. And yeah, that's basically how we spent the New Year.
Okay, how do people in your country celebrate New Year? Do you have any ceremonies?
Yes, for Filipinos, we do have quite a lot of traditions when celebrating the New Year. We prepare 12 kinds of fruits, round fruits in particular, because we consider this lucky. Besides this, we toss coins and make sure that we make some noise and jump around, as these are parts of some of our tradition.
Okay, so what do people do on New Year's Day?
On New Year's Day, I'll talk specifically about Filipinos. The Filipinos would love to prepare food that they would be sharing for their family. During the New Year, we believe that it is best celebrated with our families, as spending a special day with our families would be the best way to start a great year ahead.
Okay, so why do people think New Year is a new beginning?
Well, this is as a sort of basic thing for us. Like, we believe that since this is the start of the day, or start of the year rather, this is when we could best start doing new routines, or start correcting some bad habits, or maybe create fresh beginnings, because New Year's are sort of like the page one of each year. So it is idea that we fill it with a brand new routine.
Okay, so do you often get up early in the morning?
Unfortunately, I am not that early bird. I prefer sleeping. I love sleeping, most especially that my trips to the office and back home are very long. So I prefer really sleeping, and for the most part, I kept on waking up late, and I've been trying to practice being an early bird, but this is really something that I'm getting frustrated on.
Okay, and what do you usually do when you do get up early?
If ever there are chances that I do wake up early, I make sure that I have the time to prepare my breakfast. I do believe that it's still best if you get to have your breakfast and a good cup of coffee before you leave, so that when you reach the office, you'll be fully ready to start working. So yes, if ever I have the time, I really prepare a good meal or a breakfast.
Okay, and what's your morning routine?
Alright. So my morning starts by me snoozing my alarms 5 times. But when I finally got up out of the bed, I take a bath, brush my teeth, comb my hair a little, and then quickly prepare a cup of coffee, and then rush down to my car and start my journey on my way to the office. So as I reach the office, I take a quick bite and start working.
And is breakfast important to you?
Yes, it is. I just realized this recently, because I was already starting to change this bad habit of mine of not waking up early. So I've been practicing to prepare a meal, or to just pack a meal. If I cannot eat it at home, at least I can eat it.
So you're going to have 1 minute to read the question, and then you'll have 2 minutes to answer the question.
All right, sure.
You're starting now.
All right, sure.
Okay, you may start speaking now.
So if I were given a chance to meet someone that I often see in the news, I would be choosing to meet some beauty queens that we have. As we all know, the Miss Universe 2021 has just been concluded, and it's just fascinating to see all these winners and all these ladies who have become an inspiration to many. One of which in particular whom I'd like to meet would most probably be Catriona Gray. She is the Philippines representative who also won the title years back. And if I were given the chance to meet her, I would like to get to know her better. I'd like to know what are her routines, what are the things that she does in order to keep herself healthy, to keep herself beautiful, what are her regimens. But most importantly, other than the superficial stuff, I would like also to know how does she stay confident, because I know for a fact that she's not always at her best, or maybe there are some days that she's not feeling that okay. But as part of her job, I know that she does some things in order to keep herself okay. And this is what I would like to know more of. And this is something that I know that when she shares to many, can inspire a lot of people. Also, I would like to know where does she get her purpose from. We all know that in joining beauty pageants, these ladies must have a purpose, or they must have an advocacy. And I would like to know what are the things that inspired her in order to have one, because knowing these things may perhaps inspire me as well to do the same thing or to have the same purpose. Other than that, I would also like to know, since all we know and all we see are her strengths, does she ever have a weakness? Or if she does, how does she overcome these weaknesses?
Okay, thank you very much. We're now going to move on to part 3. What is the difference between new media and old media?
All right. I think the difference between the old media and the new media is that new media is more flexible compared to the old one. Now, we value freedom of expression more. And so by saying that, we do not try to tamper or cover up things, and we see to it that both sides are really heard of.
Okay, do you think the contents in newspapers are reliable?
Well, it depends on the outlet, I guess, because if we get to know more about the outlets better, or the news outlets better, then we get to know if they are unbiased or not. They can only be considered reliable if these outlets are unbiased.
Do you think it's necessary for people to watch foreign news?
Yes, I believe that people must watch foreign news as well in order to get themselves acquainted, not just by their surroundings, but also what's happening worldwide. Just say, for example, I am reading this foreign news as well because I would like to to know more about cryptocurrency, and we all know that cryptocurrency is being affected by what is the current news international.
And how has social media changed how we consume news?
I guess because social media is the most convenient way to us, or is the most accessible way for people nowadays to browse on the news, then I guess social media has become the most influential way to spread the news. This is how we reach the most people and the most audience. So we should all be careful of what we are posting in social media.
And what kinds of famous people are usually in the news in your country?
In the Philippines, the most famous people that are on the news are most probably politicians, since the elections are now upcoming. Other than that, as I have said earlier, beauty queens are also on the top of our news feed because of the recently concluded Miss Universe. And of course, recent stars that are having either babies or some other good news. So this is what's on top of the news in the Philippines.
Okay, thank you very much, Jasmine. That's the end of part 3.
Thank you, Sir Brian.
Okay, thank you. Wow, wow. Very good, Jasmine. I can just say right now that you really made a very good impression all throughout the 3 parts. I have to say, I can also see that you sound so interested, because that's really important when you are being asked of the IELTS questions. You should show your enthusiasm, but of course, it cannot just be shown, but it should be heard. And I can feel that all throughout you're trying your best to really sound like casual about it. And so that's really what is important in this test. So let me just go back to part 1. Now, how do you celebrate New Year? Okay. Well, of course, this kind of question is asking you about certain things that we do. And this specific question, good thing is you answer it in a personal way, because of course, how do you celebrate New Year? So that's very clear that it's a personal question. So your answer would be about anything related to where you are right now. Like you are in Dubai, and so the tradition would be in Dubai, because sometimes this is just not for you, but for the rest of those who are watching this video. Sometimes we get to be confused, and just because we are living in Dubai, we will answer it as if we are also we are in the Philippines, just because we are Filipinos, something like that. So you need to always be reminded. You will be asked about your location. So if you're going to be asked, how do you celebrate New Year? Of course, you will need to think about where you are at the moment. Okay. On the other hand, the second part, how do people in your country celebrate New Year? So this is more on what the Filipino tradition. And I think you were very appropriate with your answer when you talk about our routine, like traditional thing that we do. But I would appreciate it as well, because there's always this strengths and something that you can improve more. I would appreciate it if you can do it like step by step. At least you can just tell me some or use some cohesive devices. So firstly, what we usually do is that people are going to be busy like at the start of the day, okay? We roll our sleeves preparing for the meal for the Noche Buena, or we call that, or something like that. You can look for that at 12 midnight. We prepare for that, right? We prepare dinner, and then you can also talk about the sequence like 12 at 12 o'clock. We'll be jumping for joy, especially for those who aim to, you know, taller, especially for teenagers, something like that. At least you can be more specific about it, okay? Because this is more of our routine. What do people do on New Year's Day? So usually, I think you're okay with that, because this is what this is what you are going to do on New Year. Usually, we're just gonna, you know, spend time together. It's like our reunion. That's what we do in the Philippines. Why do people think New Year is a new beginning? I think you are very right, because this is the first year, and so we have now the fresh start. I think that's also one thing that I want to emphasize there. It's a new beginning. That means a fresh start. Whatever it is that we feel that we are supposed to do during the year, I think now it's the time for us to just, you know, start from the beginning, start from scratch, forgetting about what was the problem before, and now just going on and moving on into something really brighter, with the hope that we can be living more in a better, right, in a better situation. Why do people think New Year is a new beginning? Okay, I think I have no problem with your answer. Do you often get up early in the morning? Yeah, I think it's just a real thing, because this question is, do you often get up in the morning? So this is more on the adverb, like how frequent you are. And you said you're honest enough. Okay, no problem. Very good. You can be honest enough to tell them that you are not. But as you notice, most of the questions really rely on, you know, what's your morning routine. It's just hard to, you know, answer this kind of question, because you already set that standard, you already set that answer, making them believe, supposedly convincing them that I am not a morning person. But why are you asking me all about what's your morning routine? Is you know, something like that. And it's part of the IELTS. Like they have that kind of spiel, and all these questions are already scripted. They're all on script. And so they're going to be asking questions. And sometimes you're going to get caught off guard if it's something that we don't do. Just like one time, any comment?
Yes, because I think one time I tried practicing. You know, there's this videos in YouTube, practice with me speaking this and that. I think the question was, what are your ideas to take care of the environment? And I'm like, what are my ideas? I do not have any. So how could I even make
Imagine,
one
yeah.
minute?
True, true. I don't
I'd
know
rather
if
be honest then.
yeah, I would, yeah, like I said, it's still hard because you're honest enough to tell them I'm not a morning person, but the rest of the question was all about, we're all related to waking up in the morning. So yeah, that's just part of it. So just answer it, and I think you gracefully answered it. No problem about it. Okay. So is breakfast important to you? I think you satisfied it. Now, just for part two, I just want to share it again. I just want to remind you, although you've answered all the questions, but it's also good that you can really make a well-organized answer. So what do you mean by well-organized answer? Like describe a person is often in the news. Of course, we were talking about the Miss Universe, Katrina Gray. And so who this person is, you answer that and how you know him or her. So at least you can make a clear signpost about your moving into next part, why he or she is often in the news. I think it was just fairly answered. It was not given strong emphasis. You always have to make sure that all this answer must be clearly answered and maybe in a form of a bullet just in your mind, but at least you say, oh, I'd like to talk about Catriona Gray. She is the former Miss Universe. You can talk about the year when she won. And of course, everybody knows her. Who would not know her? She's the Miss Universe. Now, she, I think, is often in the news right now because of the fact that she has a lot of advocacies. And part of her advocacy would be, that's it, okay? Just to make a clear signpost and telling them, hey, I'm now and I'm moving to number 3. Now, I will proceed to the last part of the question. So you don't just have, because anything that you'd like to add, any details that you'd like to add, maybe an anecdote, just a simple storytelling, you can do that later on. Okay. So you can just proceed in answering all this 4. Then if you don't, no problem if you answer this like in less than 30 seconds, no problem. But of course, you are still expected to provide a 2-minute answer for part 2. But that's the time when you're going to give me more of the ad libs, like storytelling, anecdote. But never forget that this must be answered first in a sequential manner. Okay. Now, explain why we'd like to meet him or her, because I think it's just all mixed up. You talk about the strengths and the weaknesses. I like it. I have no problem about it. Okay. You're very natural. But some examiners are really into total, like, wait a minute, did she answer it all in a sequential order? Because right now, because the thing is, you need to make it easy for them to follow where you're headed. So is it easy for them to follow through? Oh, wait, where is she right now? What is she answering? Something like that. So once you're done with it, then that's the time you can add more details about it. Okay. But I would say, I like it. I like how you answer the question. And then for your part 3, wow. What is the difference between new media and old media? Okay, right?
Where did that question came from?
I know. This is really difficult. Okay, so what is the difference? So again, I want to see differences. Okay, so but good thing is just singular. So what is the difference between new media and old media? No problem with your answer. Wow. Okay. You had your way out. Okay. Very good. Very good. But you can also just make mention, just additional point that you may want to say. They are now into peace journalism. I don't know. Yeah, right. There's what we call war journalism and peace journalism. Well, I think now they're really more on advocating the peace journalism, like the way you present your news. It's not something that it's not about attacking someone. It's just making it appear that it's all but looking into all the perspective, not just, making bias, because you made mention about biases. So at least you can just make mention of the new media being what? advocating peace journalism, while before in old media, I think they all have that freedom, right, to write whatever they want to write. I don't know, you can do it also reversely. You can say now we are into war journalism, and then the old would be more on peace journalism. Okay, so I think this is also because, like I said, when you talk about media, there are always what we call, right, two-way, right? There's sender, and there's what we call a sender, and then we also have a receiver, right? So I think you can also talk about the sender. We need to be clear about, where is this news coming from? Is this coming from a reliable source? Something like that. Do you think the contents in the newspapers are reliable? Very good. It always depends upon the sender, okay? But I think it would be good if you can also add about how you think a reliable newscaster is, just to add something to it, okay? Because it's just kind of vague that it has to come from a reliable source. And then what do you mean by reliable? Because reliable to you might be not reliable to me. So at least you can make a subjective remark about it. Do you think it's necessary for people to watch foreign news? Yes, that's correct. We need to understand all this, especially if you have plans of migrating. You can also, you need to understand the changes, the migration laws. You can also talk about that. How has social media changed how we consume news? Yes, I think it's now part and parcel that we get it as a source of it's our best platform, right? I think source of information. What can we do without social media? So right now, all of the news are made available on social media, BBC, CNN, whatever kind of news, router. I think it's all on social media. And so whether we like it or not, we get to be informed because of this. What kinds of famous people are usually in the news in your country? Of course, we're talking about politicians. Okay, very good with what you said there. But you can also add to it celebrities, I think, sports people, right? I think also we're into sports as well, especially anything related to basketball. I think we're really good at that. So I would say, to wrap it up, you've done so well. There are just some few polishing that you can do. So I think for today, I'd like to say you deserve to get 7.5 band score. What do you say? Yes, very good. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think it's really, really interesting, these questions, because I'll speak specifically about question 1. Okay, so question 1, the questions can often seem really easy, and they are really easy. But I thought you dealt really well with the fact that you answered the question about breakfast, and then I asked it you again. Yeah, so you'd already answered it, but you just did entirely right. You just answered the question again. You didn't say, "Oh, I've already said that before." Which I don't know if that throws you, because you'd already told me about your breakfast, but then I asked it you again. So that's not so easy for you to deal with, and you did it entirely right. Just repeated what you said before is exactly the right thing to do. So when we come to part 3, okay, I lived in the Philippines during the time when Duterte became president. I know that the new media, especially Facebook, played a huge role in that. And you also have one of the most polarized medias in the whole world. I mean, it's nothing like that in the UK, with just a huge difference in the way the news is reported. So this gives you some kind of difficulty, really. You don't want to talk about politics in an IELTS exam.
Yes.
And I also think that if you like, storytelling is a really useful thing to do when you're answering any parts of the IELTS question, but especially the speaking. But here I think you were right not to start talking about it, because in the Philippines it is such a controversial area for everybody. And then, like, I live there, so I know why it's controversial, but many people wouldn't understand the nuances of the media. So I think when you get a question like this, which does, you know, edge onto politics, I think you did entirely right to not start
Yes.
telling stories of it, because it's so complicated, and the way it's viewed in the outside world is entirely different to the way it's viewed by Filipinos. You know, nobody understands your politics at all.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good lesson for you there. Like, normally I like people to tell more stories and to tell anecdotes,
Mhm.
but I think sometimes when you get this kind of question, you're right not to do it. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, when you answered it, I think you answered this part 3 better than
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know. I know why it could be difficult for you, and yeah, you did really, really well.
Yeah, yeah. So very good, very good. I'm just so happy with what you did. Thank you for that, Brian. And I think you just said your answer and then you ended it with confidence. And that's what it is. You know, it's always about your intro and your extro or your outro, because you always have to make sure that you maintain that composure all throughout, because this type of questions are not really easy questions. I mean, like for example, yeah, you were right. And I just want to make mention again about what Brian asked, or I mean, told you about regarding Duterte or any kind of politician. Actually, not just politician, but even if you're going to be asked about your opinion on the matter, as much as possible, this is what I always say: try to be impersonal about it. Don't be too controversial or talk something like, you know, would open a debate. Okay, you're not gonna do that. Okay, you're not gonna do that at all in your IELTS test. Reserve that for your talk with your boyfriend or whoever, but not in the IELTS exam. They don't care. They care less about that. Okay, and sometimes that would also solicit questions which you don't also want to be asked. Okay, there are times when I don't know if I made mention it to you last time when I was asked about, do you buy pirated CDs? And you know, it's a thing in the Philippines to buy pirated CDs. Black market is open everywhere, right? So even at your doorstep, somebody's gonna just sell you pirated
Yes.
CDs, right? And I was asked, and so I was so confident about it, and I said, "Oh, definitely." See that conviction there, okay? And then the follow-up question was, "Is it ethical?" Okay, you don't want to get cut off guard, right? You don't want to get cut off guard, but I was. Okay, so I felt like, oh my, I should have not answered yes. Okay, something like that. Because is it ethical? I don't want to sound unethical, and I don't want to appear unethical to a person. So this is just one of the examples of, you know, questions which will really confront you in a situation where not just an awkward, but it would really make you feel like you don't know what to say anymore, what else to say. So today, I guess it's just all but a very good conversation. It was so casual. Not only that you tried your best to really be accurate with your answer, but the thing is that you're really confident and comfortable using the language. And that's really what is important here. Getting your message across and making sure that you are also giving the right answer to the question. So congratulations. I think you're ready for your test. Yes, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you. And I think getting a 7 band score will not be an issue. Is there anything
Thank
that you, yeah, is there anything that you would like to clarify? Anything that you would like to also ask?
Mm, okay. Did I, cause I was browsing as well some videos on YouTube, like searching on which more tips should I be considering when taking the speaking test, and I've heard that using not just cohesive devices but idioms would be better as well.
Yes,
Am I right? And
yes,
collocation. So
yes, yes,
I'm
yes.
not sure how do I practice
Incorporate.
using. Yes, how do I practice incorporating them better? Because for like 2 or 3 days now, I've been reading some
Oh,
idiomatic expressions, but you know, it doesn't really naturally come. Or if you
true.
force it, I think they'd really find out if you start forcing it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, you're right. whatever video is that, I would like to affirm it, that it's really important. That would give you good points for your lexical resource, because lexical resource is really about using idiomatic expression and as well as good collocations. Okay, appropriate collocations is our combination of two words. Well, for the idiomatic expression, I would like to say that the easiest thing to incorporate this is really to verbalize it and make it useful right now to you, to your daily conversation now. You need to incorporate it. Like, for example, if you talk about newspaper, yes, right? I mean, it's all about, wow, what am I going to say about newspaper? So you can make expressions like first-hand scoop of information. So that's a very good collocation. So you can say, oh, I think it is really, do you think that contents in the newspaper are reliable? Well, I think it is. I mean, I think it always depends upon where it is coming from, or where is it coming from. So if this is a first-hand scoop without any biases, then I think it would be good. So what I'm trying to say is that you need to really verbalize it. You cannot just put it into and write it, you know. It's good that you can hear it so you can use it. And it comes handy, because sometimes you get to be surprised that you know a lot when you're going to write, but when you're going to talk about it, it's just so hard to make use of these words that you know, because most often than not, we don't hear it. And so we don't get to use it. So I think it's best that you also have that you need to really apply it now, like use it as much as possible, whether you like it or not. If you're going to make conversation, especially if you have time to practice it with somebody, use it. Okay, if certain topic, and this is what I also do, just to encourage you all, not just me, I try to memorize, not really a lot, but I try to memorize per category. What do you mean by that? I have some idiomatic expression related to colors. Okay, and for example, I would say I'm in the red, right? Meaning to say you have full of debts. I'm in the black means you are in abundance. Okay, so you can always think of the colors. Okay, that's how it is. Second, you can think about idiomatic expression related to food, or with anything related to food. So you can also say, I don't mean anything related to food, because idiomatic expression usually have a subliminal meaning. It may make mention a food, but it has nothing to do with it. Like, for example, piece of cake, right? But all I'm saying is that it's easy if you have this in your mind that, okay, I'm going bananas. Okay, I'm going bananas. So food, but has nothing to do with food, but at least it's easy for me to recall it. Because that's one thing about it. If you can recall it, then it's easy for you to memorize it. It's easy for you to use it. Because if you're just going to write it, it's going to be hard. Like, you can write all the 1,000 idiomatic expressions that you know, but using it, oh, that would be challenging. So what are going to do? Try to memorize it per category. I also have, what's the first thing? Colors. Number 2, food. Number 3, numbers. I'm in cloud 9. Okay, dress to the nines, something like that. Okay. Oh, so whenever I try to be at a party, I try my best to dress to the nines. So something like that. Okay. But don't worry about it. I don't want you to really be overboard and thinking about, oh my, I haven't used my idiomatic expression. The most important there is that you need to be comfortable, and as much as possible, try to paraphrase your answer from the question. Don't repeat the same words that they use. You can use 1 or 2. You're good to go if you can use 1 or 2 idiomatic expressions. Okay, because one time somebody asked me, is it all right if I'm going to do this? Oh, that's some piece of cake. I know I will break the leg. Okay. Okay, so that I can bring home the bacon, okay, something like that. And I said, no, you're not supposed to do that, okay? So you have memorized a lot, but now it's not making any sense. So I think for me, that would be my take. You can memorize it per category. And once you memorize it, at least you can just memorize 6 or 9. Then you need to verbalize it. So you will hear it. And once you hear it, it's gonna easy for you to just, it's gonna go, it's a lot handy, okay, to grab it and use it when you need it. Yes. Anything more?
That would be all. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And
Karen.
lastly, I just want you to I just want you to also remember this, that if you can, okay, if you can, okay, I'm actually happy and satisfied with your answer, but only if you can. I want you to show more of your energy if you can. Okay, because I think you already get that Arab way of talking. Sorry. Okay, I completely know this, that you need to adjust sometimes until you try to slow down, and you are on a monotone voice. Sometimes you have tendency to do that. Like you sound like you are on a monotone like that. So if you can try to put rhythm on it, just just to make it more interesting, especially with the verbs. Okay, I like it. Like something like that. Just put emphasis on the putting emphasis on the verb. Okay, I hope you can improve on that, so that it won't longer be just a flat tone. Because that's more on the Arab. I can definitely say that you wouldn't be understood by your boss if we're going to be talking this way. Okay, you need to slow down and if you're trying to explain. So that's just one thing that I want you to remember. Okay, if you can improve on your delivery, that is one thing that I just want you to improve. The rest, 2 thumbs up.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, Brian, anything more?
I would just repeat your advice about the idiomatic expressions.
Yes.
They're really difficult. They're really difficult.
Yeah.
I've been married to my wife, who's a Filipino. Well, we've been together for 12 years, and she still messes up idiomatic expressions. So it's really tough. So.
Yeah. So just practice. We need it for 25% of your score. It's all about using also some idiomatic. But like I said, don't get overboard by it. You're confident, you're natural, you can be good at it. Yeah, you'll be able to get a 7 band score at ease. Yes, okay, thank you very much. So we'll do this live. And once again, thank you, Jasmine, for your time. Thank you, Brian, for doing this again. And for those of you watching, we are encouraging you all to subscribe to our video and like and subscribe, because again, we're doing it all for free. Okay, because we want to help somebody, not just the one who is being interviewed, but also the rest who's watching this. Okay, so thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.